Hi guys! Hi guys, so I'm gonna talk to you about some random ideas today. Are you ready? Alright, our first one. A jumping spider that works as a spy and is outfitted with a dark green uniform and has, night vision goggles on. Its small size means it's easy for him to infiltrate anywhere easily. Oh yeah. Yeah, wouldn't something so small make a perfect spy, really? I mean, a lot of spying devices are like really, really small, you know? Oh, excuse me. Sorry about that. Sorry, I just ate not so long ago, so I apologize for that. Alright, second one. A frozen over desolate forest, the icy and snow covered plants and trees everywhere, and some dangerous icy creatures are chasing a woman dressed in a gray cloak. Oh no, they're gonna. Alright. Alright, now. I'm just. Yeah, if I had to guess, those icy creatures are probably working with the Snow Queen. Yeah, she is a villain in the lore, yeah. Yeah, she's like heavily involved in the Mirror Shard arc. Yeah. Basically, in the Mirror Shard arc, there was a cursed mirror that contained Bloody Mary because she got trapped there after trying to murder her own child, and her mirror got stolen by an evil prince of was that turned into an incubus later in the future. And basically that mirror broke because he was trying to go up to the heavens to use the mirror to mock celestials. And it kind of fell down, broke apart, and one of them kind of ended up in the Snow Queen's heart, and twisted her view of the world. And she was basically trying to build a mirror for reason, which would give more strength to Bloody Mary. Yeah, it was basically kind of manipulating her to do it. And basically the icy creatures are made from the Snow Queen's magic, as well as basic and kind of controlled by in tandem by Bloody Mary, basically. Yeah. Yeah, that's part of the major arc of that. Yeah. Next idea. Sorry about the tangent. Yeah. A yellow-colored mermaid that carries a chainsaw and has a sawfish nose and sawfish fins. All right, you guys ever seen a sawfish? They're like basically a rather harmless shark, but they got a really long nose that has a bunch of teeth on it that are like it looks like a saw blade. Hmm. Yeah, they're really really cool looking, but they're basically harmless though. But their nose is very cool though. But they're like a really rare fish, yeah. They're like a really rare fish, and they look really really cool. So I thought, why not have a merman with a chainsaw? Kind of inspired by that. Yeah, rip and tear. Yeah, sorry, I can't. Whenever I see chainsaws, I'm kind of reminded of Doom Guy. Oh yeah, yeah. All right, now the next one. A young psychic green-haired kid who has a talking bicycle that has to deal with various mysterious things happening in his neighborhood, which is related to a mysterious falling from the sky. That just sounds like the start to Earthbound. That just sounds like the start to Earthbound. Yeah, that's pretty much the start of Earthbound. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm sorry about that. Alright, next idea. A monster that looks like a UFO that is connected to an alien's body that resembles a tall gray humanoid alien with weird tentacle fingers and has a large round head with large, scary, glowing eyes, and while the UFO has rainbow lights swirling around it. Alright, so my idea was that the alien would, have the UFO strapped to its back and, would fold up inside of it and, would fly around. And then when it goes to attack something, it comes out of it, it starts to attack. Something like that. And it's kind of inspired by, the Greys, which are a popular alien archetype, which are, a popular alien type that, is in the States that, is said to be a cryptid or something. Like, one of the most common aliens. They're basically these thin, gray looking dudes with the big eyes. Very distinct looking, yeah. Yeah, they're said to be connected to Roswell, New Mexico, because there was kind of an urban legend about a supposed weather about a UFO being called a weather balloon by the U.S. government because being taken to Area 51 and all that. Yeah, I personally don't think it's really true. No. No, yeah. All right, next one. A skull-faced humanoid monster made of wood and covered in dead autumn leaves and has a massive right arm with tentacle-like living wood that whips around like a whip and erupts from piles of leaves to attack its prey. Oh, that just sounds like a bit like a Wendigo, maybe. Oh wait, I thought that. Oh right, I'm not supposed to mention the name of that monster because it's like super scary and all that. Yeah, basically it's a dangerous cannibalistic creature. Yeah, that eats humans. Yeah. Yeah, it's like one of those cryptids from it's like one of those cryptids. Yeah, there's still a lot of people. There's still quite a bit of people who actually believe it's real. Yeah. Anyway, an abandoned. All right, next one. An abandoned treehouse in the wood that contains old stuff from the '50s that's faded and worn, and in the center of it is a portal to another world that leads to a fairyland nightclub. Ooh. Oh yeah, that sounds really nice. Yeah. You probably wouldn't catch any money working in a place like that, no. No, how much money? How much money do you suppose people would make if they saw me, do stuff like that? Yeah. Actually, I'm just kidding. Yeah. All right, I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna do that. No. All right. Next idea. A pink flamingo-like humanoid woman with a camera in her hands who acts like a snobbish, entitled influencer. Yeah. All right. I was kind of playing off, and I got to what was its name? Carnival? Yeah, Carnival guy. And I was thinking, and I was kind of getting it, and I was kind of following the Johnny Somali trial. So I decided, hey, why not make a snobbish entitled influencer? Maybe they could have the personality similar to Moth Diva. You guys ever play Bug Fables: The Everlasting Sapling? Yeah, being an entitled snobbish influencer that tries to glory hog and gets into fights with the party. Over being number one. That's pretty much what Madiva tried to do. All right, now next idea. A monster that resembles a pale, ghostly woman with a sickly black hair that is fused to a large centipede and carries a poisonous energy lance with her. Yeah, that just sounds like Centipede Woman. Have you guys ever seen Inuyasha? Yeah. Apparently, in Japanese folklore, there's giant demonic centipedes. I'm not really sure what they're called though, but I remember them from Neo. Mm-hmm. All right, now, next one. A giant sinkhole which opens beneath a house and sucks a family down into a hidden underground world where they have to work together to survive its many weird creatures. Oh yeah, that sounds like the beginning of a children's book, honestly. Yeah, that sounds like the beginning of an American children's book, honestly. Kind of reminds me of something like Gregor the Underlander. Have you guys ever read that? Yeah, probably not. It's not like super well known. Yeah, it's basically like an American Yeah, it basically sounds like the beginning of an American isekai, really. Yeah, maybe it might be. Maybe one of them could even, use guns. Anyway, a chariot driven by a giant pair of cockroaches with a design similar to a and the chariot is kind of designed similar to a ladybug, and it's controlled by a ghostly half roach, half woman creature clad in a veil. Oh, that all right, yeah. All right, yeah. Yeah, that's kind of weird, isn't it? Yeah. Alright, now the next one. A giant fuzzball-like creature with a pair of bat wings and a large mouth that can fire supersonic waves at people. Yeah, boy. It's technically a bat, so, Enemy probably would probably refuse to fight it, but, it's pretty dangerous since it's firing supersonic waves, yeah. Yeah, it's like, Subat, go Subat, fire supersonic. Use supersonic. Yeah, a bit like that, or like when you're fighting bats, and a lot of lores are some of their attacks do use their supersonic waves, sometimes or ultrasonic waves, or they might cause confusion, they might cause physical damage, they might just damage people. I don't know. It's just a thing that bats commonly do in RPGs, yeah. Or other video games, really. Alright, next idea. A creature that resembles a woman made out of sand that is half broken and has a massive right arm made of sand, which it can manipulate freely. Yeah, it's like part sand and part sandstone, and yeah, it's basically like a sand elemental, I guess. Yeah, it'll probably when it dies, it'll collapse down into sand and break apart. Yeah, and it'll probably have like a core inside of it that controls it. Yeah, probably something like that. Mm, you know, probably similar to a sand golem or something like that, maybe. um, all right, now the next creature. All right, next idea. A creature that resembles an ugly and a large ugly face on a stone head that is grumpy and just wants to be left alone and will attack people by slamming into them with its hard stone body. No, that just basically sounds like a very common fae. That just sounds like a very common fae that is found in fairyland. Yeah, and it's like related to an earth elemental. I think it's like related to trolls or something. Some of them are actually pretty friendly though. Some of them, despite their ugly and unseemly appearance, are quite friendly. This one, however, is apparently not. Alright, now, a large fruit tree that is surrounded by a bunch of creatures that resemble humanoid insects made of autumn leaves. Go! Yeah, and they're all dancing around, too. Yeah, doesn't that sound like a nice image? Anyway, that's all I have to share for you for today. Hey, what? Anamani, no. Okay, Coco, okay. That's all I have to share for you for today. Thank you for watching. I hope you had plenty of fun. Remember to fly like bat and shine like the moon, for we are stuff dreams are made of. Okay, bye-bye now. Come on, camera! Camera!